Welcome back everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and incredible numismatic treasures, where a single penny can be worth more than a mansion and small details can turn an ordinary piece of metal into a fortune. Today we're exploring the mystery, the beauty, and the unbelievable value behind the 1953 Wheat Penny, a coin that has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike with its rumored worth of a staggering $80 million, all because of its unique errors, minting anomalies, and the extraordinary story that surrounds its creation and discovery. To understand how such a small coin from the early 1950s could be valued at such an astronomical amount, we first need to dive into the era in which it was made, the intricate process of minting, the fascinating variety of mistakes that could occur during production, and the passion of collectors who search day and night for these hidden gems that might be sitting unnoticed in change jars or coin rolls across the country. The year 1953 was part of the post-war period when the United States was booming economically, and the Denver Mint, marked by the D mint mark on the coin, was operating at full capacity to produce millions of wheat pennies that featured the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat ears design on the reverse, a design that had already become iconic since its introduction in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday. However, not every coin that rolled off the presses that year was perfect. Small variations in die strikes, metal composition, and mechanical alignment created a series of subtle and sometimes dramatic errors that, decades later, would make a few of these coins worth unimaginable sums. The 1953 Wheat Penny that has become famous for its alleged value of $80 million is believed to be one of these ultra-rare error coins, a piece that not only escaped detection but somehow survived in mint state condition, preserved through the years with all its anomalies intact. Collectors speculate that its value arises from a combination of factors: its rarity, condition, historical importance, and the intrigue of the error itself, which together elevate it far beyond its humble 1-cent face value. One of the most striking types of errors that could have affected this coin is a double die error, where the image or lettering on the coin appears to have been stamped twice slightly offset, creating a ghostly doubling effect on words like "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date, 1953, itself. Such doubling occurs when the die that imprints the design on the blank planchet shifts between strikes, leading to the kind of visual anomaly that instantly makes a coin unique and highly sought after. In some cases, the doubling is dramatic and easily visible with the naked eye; in others, it's subtle but detectable under magnification, sending collectors into a frenzy when they uncover it. Another possible error that could have contributed to the 1953 Wheat Penny's incredible value is a repunched mint mark, known as an RPM. During the 1950s, mint marks were manually punched onto the dies used to strike the coins, and if the first punch wasn't perfectly aligned, a second punch might be applied slightly off-center, leading to overlapping impressions of the letter D. These repunched mint marks vary widely; some are barely noticeable, while others are clear enough to be seen even without magnification, and coins featuring strong RPMs are often considered rare varieties by collectors. If the legendary $80 million 1953 penny includes a prominent doubled or tripled D, it would immediately place it in a category of extraordinary interest to numismatists. There's also speculation that certain 1953 wheat pennies were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were mistakenly made using metal blanks intended for another denomination or year. Such errors can result in a penny that is the wrong weight, the wrong color, or even the wrong metal composition. Imagine a 1953 penny struck on a silver dime planchet, slightly smaller, lighter, and brighter than usual, or on a leftover bronze or steel planchet from earlier years. These kinds of minting errors create instant rarities because they are literally one of a kind. Some collectors believe that the $80 million penny could have been produced on an experimental planchet during a transitional period when the mint was adjusting its metal supply, which would explain both its unique composition and the mystery surrounding its origin. Then there are the off-center strikes, where the design is not fully centered on the coin because the blank was misaligned in the press. The result can range from a minor misalignment to a dramatic off-center error where only part of Lincoln's portrait or the wheat ears are visible, leaving a crescent of blank metal on one side. Extreme examples of off-center strikes, especially when combined with a clear date and mint mark, are highly prized by collectors because they showcase the mechanical imperfections of the minting process in a visually stunning way. Some of the most valuable error coins in U.S. history are off-center strikes that were never supposed to leave the mint, and if a 1953 penny with a major off-center error somehow escaped and was preserved, its uniqueness could absolutely drive its price into the millions. Another fascinating error to consider is the die crack or die break, where the steel die used to strike the coin develops a crack due to the enormous pressure exerted during production. When this happens, molten metal can flow into the crack, creating raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the surface of the coin. Collectors call these features die cracks or cuds, and while they might seem like small imperfections, they can make a coin stand out dramatically from the rest of the issue. A prominent die crack running through Lincoln's portrait, or across the wheat stalks, could make a 1953 D penny instantly recognizable and elevate its desirability. Sometimes these cracks form in ways that appear intentional, creating shapes or patterns that fascinate collectors and fuel stories about divine messages or hidden symbols on coins. When you add in the possibility of die breaks, lamination errors, where layers of metal peel or split from the surface due to impurities in the alloy, or clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a blank being improperly cut, the range of potential minting mistakes that could make a 1953 D Wheat Penny special is vast and exciting. The story of how a coin like this achieves legendary status also involves the people who discover and authenticate it. In many cases, an ordinary collector or a curious hobbyist finds a strange-looking coin in their pocket change or an inherited collection and decides to have it evaluated by a professional grading service such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. When these experts verify that a coin is genuine and possesses a significant error, its market value can skyrocket overnight. In the case of the 1953 D Wheat Penny, rumors suggest that a near-perfect mint-state example with multiple overlapping errors was discovered and authenticated decades after it was struck, sending shockwaves through the numismatic community. Its surface was said to gleam with original mint luster, its features crisp and sharply struck, but with telltale doubling, a repunched mint mark, and even hints of off-metal coloration, all combined in one astonishing specimen. Such a coin would not only be a collector's dream but a once-in-a-lifetime treasure that rewrites what people thought was possible in U.S. coinage. The monetary value attached to such a piece, reportedly reaching $80 million, reflects not only its physical characteristics but also its mythic aura, the idea that a simple 1-cent coin can defy all odds and become a symbol of hidden wealth, a tangible piece of history that connects us to the machinery, craftsmanship, and human errors of the past. It also represents the passion that drives the world of numismatics, where the line between art and accident blurs, and where each imperfection tells a story of how coins were made, handled, and cherished through generations. Beyond its mechanical errors, the 1953 D Wheat Penny holds historical importance as part of the final decade of the wheat reverse design before the Lincoln Memorial Reverse was introduced in 1959. These coins serve as reminders of mid-century America, of simpler times when pennies actually bought something, and of the pride the nation took in its coinage. Collectors treasure wheat pennies for their design, history, and symbolism, but the 1953 D series in particular stands out for its quality of strike and the quirks that make individual examples so fascinating. It's said that the Denver Mint that year experienced fluctuations in die alignment and temperature that caused subtle variations in the strike quality and color tone, factors that contribute to the unique appearance of surviving coins. Some have richer, more reddish hues due to higher copper content, while others appear darker or show hints of toning from decades of oxidation, each carrying its own fingerprint of time. When combined with even a minor error, these visual traits can dramatically boost a coin's desirability. A coin like the $80 million penny doesn't just gain value from scarcity, it becomes legendary through stories passed among collectors, auction houses, and enthusiasts who dream of finding one like it. The excitement surrounding such coins fuels an entire subculture of coin roll hunters who sift through rolls of pennies from banks, hoping to uncover rare dates, mint marks, or errors. Next. Today, we're diving into the captivating world of one of the most intriguing coins in American numismatic history, the 1945 Wheat Penny, a humble 1-cent piece that, due to its rare errors, hidden variations, and minting mysteries, has been rumored to be worth as much as $32 million to the right collector. Imagine holding a coin that has been in circulation for over 7 decades, passed through countless hands, yet one with a subtle flaw or unique characteristic that transforms it from a common cent into a treasure worth more than a mansion, a car collection, and a lifetime of dreams combined. The 1945 Wheat Penny sits at the intersection of World War II history, minting evolution, and numismatic fascination, making it one of the most sought-after coins for error hunters and collectors who know that sometimes a simple cent can carry an extraordinary story. The United States was in its final year of the Second World War when the 1945 wheat pennies were struck, and that alone adds historical depth. The nation's economy was heavily influenced by war production, with copper and other metals being rationed or redirected for military use. This context gave rise to the famous steel cents of 1943, made from zinc-coated steel due to copper shortages, but by 1945, the mint had returned to primarily using bronze, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. However, with the transition of materials, it is believed that certain leftover planchets, experimental metals, and accidental mixes could have caused remarkable and valuable minting errors. The most prized of these is the 1945 wheat penny struck on a steel planchet. If such an error exists, it would be a rare and extraordinary find, as these would have been unintentional leftovers from the 1943 wartime production run. A single example of a 1945 steel wheat penny has been rumored in numismatic circles, and if authenticated, it could easily command millions because of its historical crossover between wartime necessity and post-war restoration of minting materials. But even beyond that elusive possibility, numerous verified errors make certain 1945 pennies incredibly valuable. One of the most fascinating is the double die error, particularly on the obverse side of the coin where Abraham Lincoln's portrait resides. In some 1945 pennies, collectors have observed noticeable doubling in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1945, itself. These double die obverse coins are a result of misalignment during the die creation process when the die used to strike coins is impressed more than once at slightly different angles. Such coins are cherished by collectors because the doubling effect is unmistakable under magnification, creating an almost ghostly appearance of repeated lettering and digits. Depending on the clarity of the doubling, a 1945 double die penny could fetch thousands, and in pristine condition or with an extremely rare die combination, the price could soar to extraordinary figures, contributing to the legendary multimillion-dollar value of specific specimens. Another type of error that adds tremendous intrigue to the 1945 wheat penny is the off-center strike. Off-center errors occur when a coin blank, known as a planchet, is not properly seated in the striking chamber, causing the design to appear partially missing or shifted to one side. The degree of off-centering determines the rarity, with coins that are about 50% off-center and still show a visible date being among the most desirable. A 1945 wheat penny with such an error and excellent condition can be valued at thousands of dollars, especially if combined with other anomalies like misaligned dies or die cracks. Speaking of die cracks, those imperfections occur when the die itself begins to fracture after extended use. The resulting lines appear raised on the coin's surface and can create fascinating patterns, sometimes appearing like veins across Lincoln's portrait or even resembling dramatic lightning strikes. These are often called cuds when parts of the die break away completely, leaving missing sections of design or raised blobs of metal. A 1945 penny featuring a large cut or dramatic die break can become a standout collectible because these are one-of-a-kind accidents, no two coins alike, making each piece a unique artifact of the minting process. Then there's the possibility of wrong planchet strikes, another category of mint error that drives collectors wild. Imagine a 1945 wheat penny mistakenly struck on a dime planchet, or even more rarely, on a foreign coin blank intended for Allied nations during the war. Such cross-metal or cross-denomination errors can produce coins that are smaller, thinner, or lighter than normal, with portions of the design missing or cut off due to the smaller size of the planchet. These coins are unmistakable oddities that immediately catch the attention of professional graders and auction houses. If authenticated, a 1945 penny struck on a wrong planchet can sell for staggering amounts, especially if the error can be traced to a historical batch of planchets or foreign mints used by the U.S. during wartime cooperation. Now, consider another fascinating aspect, the repunched mint marks, or RPMs. In 1945, pennies were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Back then, mint marks were hand-punched into the working dies, and this manual process sometimes led to slight misalignments or double impressions. For example, the 1945 D penny can sometimes show evidence of a repunched D mint mark, where a secondary outline or shadow of the letter appears just beside or under the main mark. Collectors meticulously search for these RPM varieties, as certain combinations of strong repunching can elevate the value of a common penny into the thousands. Combine a strong RPM with other errors, such as die cracks or doubling, and you have a potential rarity of monumental worth. Furthermore, condition and luster play an enormous role in determining the coin's value. Coins that have survived in mint state condition, particularly graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, are already worth hundreds to thousands of dollars even without visible errors. Add in any of the above anomalies, and the price skyrockets. A gem-bright 1945 wheat penny with a dramatic double die, flawless surfaces, and full original red copper luster could easily become a numismatic sensation worth millions, especially if it has a unique provenance or history. Some collectors even speculate about experimental or transitional errors from the mid-1940s, such as 1945 pennies with slight changes in alloy composition due to lingering wartime metal adjustments. Analytical tests on certain specimens have shown unusual trace metals or variations in weight, suggesting that some planchets might have been composed from leftover wartime materials or recycled metals from military surplus. If proven, such examples would blur the line between standard coinage and historical artifact, making them priceless in both numismatic and historical contexts. Another layer of fascination lies in the aesthetic qualities of the coin, the toning patterns, strike sharpness, and preservation of design details. Some 1945 pennies exhibit rainbow-like toning caused by chemical reactions between the copper and the environment over decades. This natural oxidation, when aesthetically pleasing, can add hundreds or thousands to a coin's value. A perfectly toned 1945 penny with iridescent hues shimmering across Lincoln's profile could attract top collectors eager to own something that is as much art as currency. Additionally, full strike details, especially on Lincoln's hair, the wheat ears on the reverse, and the sharpness of the lettering, E pluribus unum, significantly influence the grade and value. Coins with full, crisp features indicate precise minting and careful preservation, while soft strikes or wear can diminish value, unless, of course, those soft details are due to minting anomalies, which then transform them into valuable errors. The historical context further magnifies the 1945 wheat penny's appeal. As World War II ended, millions of Americans were returning home, industries were shifting from war to peace, and coins from this era carry the emotional and historical weight of a nation in transition. Some collectors even romanticize the idea that a 1945 penny may have been carried in the pocket of a soldier returning from Europe or the Pacific, linking each coin to a deeply human story of resilience and rebirth. This emotional layer, combined with tangible minting anomalies, makes the 1945 penny not just a collectible but a symbol of American endurance. There are also rare examples of die polishing errors in this series, where mint workers, attempting to extend the life of a die, inadvertently removed parts of the design during cleaning. This can lead to missing features such as weakened lines in the wheat stalks or the absence of parts of Lincoln's shoulder or coat. These are sometimes misidentified as wear, but true die polishing errors display distinctive smooth areas that differ from circulation wear. A coin with such characteristics, particularly if combined with other errors, can achieve remarkable auction prices. In recent years, auction houses have seen bidding wars over similar coins where unique die states or minting irregularities sent prices soaring far beyond initial estimates. The psychology of coin collecting also plays a role here, the thrill of owning something no one else possesses, the chase for perfection, and the desire to connect with history through metal. Last. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and mysterious coins in American numismatic history, the 1958 wheat penny, a coin that at first glance looks like any ordinary copper cent, but in rare and extraordinary cases, it has been rumored to be worth as much as $38 million due to its incredible errors, striking mistakes, and the fascinating circumstances surrounding its minting. Now, before you shrug it off as just another penny, think again, because this coin's story is packed with history, human error, and the kind of minting mystery that collectors dream about. So, let's unravel the tale of the 1958 wheat penny and understand why a small 1-cent coin has captured so much attention and speculation, transforming it into a multi-million-dollar marvel that still sends shockwaves through the collecting community. The 1958 wheat penny was minted in Denver, a mint known for producing billions of Lincoln cents throughout the mid-20th century, yet among those countless coins, only a select few display the remarkable errors that set them apart. While 1958 marked the final year the iconic wheat ears design appeared on the reverse before the Memorial reverse debuted in 1959, this transition year has become a cornerstone for collectors due to the rare minting anomalies that occurred. The Denver Mint was operating at full capacity during that era, producing vast quantities of coins to meet growing post-war economic demands, and it was precisely during this rush and production pressure that mistakes happened, giving rise to one of the most valuable pennies ever struck. Imagine thousands of workers, machines running around the clock, and dies being used and reused until their limits were reached. Conditions like these are breeding grounds for fascinating errors, and the 1958 Wheat Penny is no exception. Among the most notable and talked about varieties are the double die obverse errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, and planchet flaws, all of which could elevate the value of a single cent from a mere 1 penny to millions. The most legendary of these is the 1958 double die penny, but the Denver version adds another layer of intrigue since authentic double dies from Denver in 1958 are exceptionally rare, and most reported examples were only found after decades of careful examination. The doubling error occurs when the coin die receives two impressions that are slightly misaligned, leading to letters, numbers, or even facial details appearing doubled under magnification. For the 1958 even subtle doubling on inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date, 1958, itself could send collectors into a frenzy, especially if the doubling is strong and clearly visible without magnification. Experts have spent years examining examples and debating whether some of these coins were accidental mint anomalies or intentional test strikes that somehow escaped into circulation. Such uncertainty adds to their mystique and perceived value, as any trace of doubling in a 1958 wheat penny can make it an ultra-rarity. Beyond doubling, the Denver Mint also experienced striking issues in that period due to worn dies and improperly aligned presses, resulting in pennies with off-center strikes where the design appears shifted or missing parts of the rim, or even broad-struck coins where the metal expanded beyond its normal boundaries. Some 1958 pennies show die cracks resembling tiny lightning bolts across Lincoln's face or through the lettering, features that make them unique one-of-a-kind specimens. A dramatic die break, sometimes called a cud, could appear where part of the die broke off, leaving a raised blob of metal on the coin's surface. Collectors go wild for such distinctive errors, and in pristine condition, these anomalies can transform what was once pocket change into a museum-worthy artifact. Then there's the matter of planchet errors, where the metal blank used to strike the coin wasn't perfect. A 1958 wheat penny struck on the wrong planchet, say from a dime or a foreign coin, is a holy grail find. Such wrong planchet errors are exceedingly scarce but do exist, with some examples weighing less or having unusual coloration. If such a coin were authenticated and well preserved, it could command astronomical prices, potentially explaining how rumors of a $38 million valuation came to be. Part of what makes the 1958 wheat penny story so captivating is that it represents the end of an era for the beloved wheat design. Collectors know that transition years often bring confusion and errors as the mint prepares new dies and retires old ones, and this overlap can lead to striking combinations that were never meant to exist. There have been whispers of transitional errors involving a 1958 obverse paired with an experimental memorial reverse, though official confirmation of such a specimen remains elusive. If one such hybrid coin were ever found, its value could easily skyrocket beyond any logical boundary, becoming the kind of piece that auction houses and museums would fight over. Every error coin has a story, but the 1958 wheat penny's narrative intertwines with American history, technological limitations, and sheer chance. As copper since transitioned to a post-wheat era, a handful of anomalies slipped through, and each one that surfaces today reignites the fire of curiosity among collectors. Imagine holding a coin struck nearly 7 decades ago that bears subtle missteps of the minting process, tiny imperfections invisible to most people yet invaluable to those who understand their significance. That's the allure of this coin. For many, it's not just about metal composition but about a moment frozen in time, a link to the past when machines and human oversight created tangible history by accident. Even minor varieties like repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark was punched more than once creating a shadow effect, are highly prized. Some of these repunched 1958 cents have distinct doubling around the D, making them targets for error hunters. Combined with the right luster, sharp strike, and preserved surfaces, such features can push auction bids into the tens or even hundreds of thousands. But the true rarity, the one that legends whisper about, is that perfect storm of a coin, a double-die 1958D with flawless condition, uncirculated surfaces, strong doubling, and documented provenance. That's where the $38 million rumor takes hold, a symbolic valuation representing not just its rarity but its mythic status in the numismatic world. Coins like these become icons, part of the lore that drives collectors to inspect every penny they come across, hoping to find that one era that changes their life. Beyond physical attributes, the mystique also arises from the few known double-die 1958 Lincoln cents from the Philadelphia Mint, which have fetched incredible sums. If a true Denver version with comparable doubling and pristine preservation were verified, its uniqueness alone could justify a mind-bending valuation, as there might be no other like it in existence. The intrigue around the 1958D Wheat Penny also ties into its composition. Being made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, it possesses that distinctive reddish-brown hue collectors adore, especially when it remains untouched by oxidation or handling. A full red mint state example with deep cartwheel luster and sharp detail commands strong demand even without an error, but combine that with an unmistakable die anomaly, and you're looking at something extraordinary. Condition, as always, plays a huge role in value. A 1958D in mint state red, MS 67 or higher, with an error could easily outpace ordinary coins by factors of thousands. Some collectors speculate that the rumored multimillion-dollar figure represents a theoretical value based on uniqueness and condition rarity combined with collector demand, much like how a rare painting's worth can exceed logical appraisals. After all, in the world of collectibles, perception and desire can transform an object's price into something almost mythical. There's also the matter of discovery stories. Tales of ordinary people finding rare 1958D pennies in old jars or inherited collections make this coin even more exciting. The idea that someone might stumble upon a multimillion-dollar coin in their attic or among forgotten change sparks the imagination and keeps the hunt alive. These stories contribute to the coin's legend, where each new find renews hope that the next big discovery is just around the corner. Mint errors are fascinating not only because they're accidental but because they showcase how something imperfect can become perfect in the eyes of collectors. The 1958D Wheat Penny embodies that paradox beautifully, its value born from flaws, its worth amplified by rarity, its legend sustained by curiosity. Every scratch, every doubling, every misplaced strike tells a story about the minting process and the fallibility of machines and humans alike. It's poetry in copper form. In a world where billions of coins are struck each year, perfection is common, but imperfection is priceless. Think about how many hands these pennies pass through before being recognized for what they truly are. Many of these rare errors may still be out there, lying unnoticed in piggy banks or coin rolls, waiting for a sharp eye to spot the doubling in Liberty or a faint die crack under Lincoln's chin. That's why collectors continue searching, driven by the thrill of discovery and the dream of finding the next multimillion-dollar rarity. The 1958D Wheat Penny's rumored $38 million value, whether realistic or not, captures that dream perfectly. It's a symbol of possibility.